regularly qualify for their national teams, Terrence helped make a name for Brandeis at the upper levels. A foil fencer, Terrence qualified for the NCAA championships all 4 years during his career. He earned All-America honors as a junior when he finished 5th in the nation. Terrence also won championships at Intercollegiate Fencing Association, University Athletic Association, and New England Fencing Conference meets during his career. As a senior, Terrence was named Male Athlete of the Year. He continued his fencing after graduating, qualifying for 4 U.S. Olympic festivals, serving as the Master of Ceremonies at the fencing venue at the 1996 Atlanta Olympics, and teaching the sport to youth around the Boston area for many years. Ladies and gentlemen, Terrence Gargiulo.
Well, the pen might be mightier than the sword, but when someone has the microphone, you're held captive. I'll try not to be too long, but I would have never imagined that as a 9-year-old boy, stumbling in the attic and finding a trunk and opening it up and discovering a medal, a silver medal, won by my father when he used to fence in New York City at the Boys Club, would take me here today to this incredible honor. And I have to back up and say that even this Westin Hotel, for me, has some beautiful memories. And I think today I'm crowning it in a very special way. I had a birthday party here for my sister. I had my wedding party with my beautiful wife, Cindy Brodsky, and we now have 2 beautiful children. And today I come to accept this award. I'd like to say a few things about fencing because it's one of those sports that, on guard, that not everybody knows a heck of a lot, and yet it's a sport that puts us in a very unusual place that I think embodies what all of us as athletes really do. It puts us in a place of contradictions. On the one hand, you are having a fight, and on the other hand, you're always running. So when you put down the mask across your face, you're reenacting life and death. A primordial dance. Either I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to try to get out of here. And so it required a certain amount of mastery. And with that mastery, you begin to believe the illusion that you shall be the Greek hero that will forever be sung. And then you wake up and realize that you won't always be on this podium. You won't always be the best. There's always someone else working hard, working to express themselves, and that will also take that top honor. And I had that first experience very early on, where I realized after winning an under-16 national championship, I realized that the next day, I could as equally come in 2nd or 3rd, or maybe not placed at all. I think that there's the contradiction that on the one hand, as athletes, we compete, and yet it's about collaboration. It's about cooperation. And no matter how strong or independent we are, it's the team, and it's doing it together as a group. It is a collaboration and the work of so many people that brings one here, or to any great honor, or to any achievement. And so I find myself in an odd place thinking about this Olympics. I was an alternate in '96. I was a 3rd alternate. And I tried many times to make the team. And when I think about the Olympics, and I think about the sacrifices made by any and all athletes, all of you out there, how many times did you not study for that test so that you could be ready for that game? Or maybe celebrating the fact that you won the game. Raise of hands here. All right, come on, be honest. And so, here in this possibility that we're not going to go to the Olympics, I'm quite saddened. Because I think what we're missing is the power of diplomacy. I think what we're missing, it is the power of, through competition, that actually collaboration occurs. It is through having an enemy that friendships are made. And as a Brandeis athlete, I always felt very privileged to be part of Brandeis University's diplomatic corps. because I knew that no matter how much I shouted in my opponent's face, that when it was over, we were friends. And how I comported myself, how I acted, those were the stories that were going to be passed along if I showed that I was a team player and I cared. And so I also want to recognize some of the great team players in my life. I have to tell you a story about Bill Shipman, and this actually was really when I first had this epiphany of that it wasn't just all about me. Thank you today for letting it be a little bit about me. I'm very appreciative of that. But it's not always about me. And Bill Shipman, in fencing, you get to take a time out. And so that's in a match, in a heated moment, the coach or one of your teammates will come and they'll offer you some words of wisdom. Well, Bill Shipman is a man of action. Some words, but a lot of action. And on this occasion, we were one bout away from basically losing. And I was viewed as a star player, and I was supposed to make a difference. And I think I was behind in this bout against an opponent I shouldn't have been. You can see the humility here, right? 4-0 or 4-1 in a 5-touch match. Bill Shipman walks up to me. I have my mask off and I'm real eager. Okay, coach, tell me, what am I supposed to do? What do you want me to do? And Bill Shipman just walks up to me, puts the mask on my face and just shakes his head and walks away. I ended up winning that match and saving our team. But it was at that moment that I think I began to realize it was important that I was doing it for someone other than myself. That it wasn't my attitude, it wasn't my achievement that made a difference. That we were part of something. I'm very fortunate here also at the table is a wonderful friend, Dan Portion. Everybody give Dan Portion a round of applause. And Bill Shipman. Dan Portion and I would spend countless hours training and encouraging one another at all hours of the night, and salsa music was what kept us going. But it's these friendships. And I can't say enough about all of the family, all of the people in my life. My sister was also sitting at the table. And she would travel with me to Junior Olympic Championships and to collegiate events. And she was always there to encourage me whenever I was discouraged, whenever I thought I had failed. There was her smiling face. There was her love. There was her support. And today, of course, I have the beautiful support of my lovely family, Gabriel Francesco Gargiulo, who's right here, and lots of other people. But, you know, most importantly, I think it's a mother and a father that bring you to a place of love, they bring you to a place of support, they bring you to a place of excellence. And so on this occasion, it is my greatest honor to accept this award in honor of my father, who died a little over a year ago. And my father told me, he said, please ask your mother to come up and to accept the award for both of us in my honor. And so I'd like to ask today all of you to give my mother a huge round of applause, and I'd ask her to accept this bouquet of roses from my father.